On this module, I'd like to share with you what I believe is that great project leaders need to do on a day-to-day basis to land projects and change within their organizations. You know, it's very easy to get into that overworked, stressed, overwhelmed sort of situation when we're delivering projects. And on this module, I'd like to share with you what are the key areas that we need to focus on that hopefully will actually reduce the amount of stress and give you some clarity and focus in terms of what you should be doing on a day-to-day basis. Of course, we have the Change Pro framework, which will help you to guide you through the life cycle, but these are really about the leadership behaviors and the areas you need to focus on to be successful. You know, a while ago, I was asked by a global organization who deliver many different engineering and construction projects around the world. And they said, Grant, we want you to analyze, the projects that we deliver around the world and have a year-long project to really focus on why we are successful in certain projects and why perhaps some of our projects are really difficult and perhaps not as successful as they could be. So I went around the world and met many different project leaders and project managers doing many different projects around the world. And what was really interesting is that there was a pattern, if you like, a trend that materialized from all the data we were collecting. And that data was that when you have a really effective project leader in place, the project is successful. Now, that's not earth-shattering in its common sense, but isn't that amazing where, fundamentally the project really is down to how we actually lead it, how we set up our teams and how we deliver our projects through people. So the number one factor really is to be really aware about what your leadership behaviors are on your project. So in a minute we'll go back and have a look at that in detail, and particularly on this module I want to spend a lot of time looking at what are the things that we need to focus on as a leader to deliver projects within our remit. Now the second thing of course is that when you become a project manager or a project leader, it's very easy to fall into what I call a project management trap. You'll see on the diagram coming up on the screen now is that it's very easy to see ourselves as the font, if you like, the font of all knowledge, and everything comes through. We report to the project board or our sponsor and or the steering group, and we then, as a project manager, then dispel all the information through working group meetings. And I think that's okay on short term or certainly projects where you just need to get delivery done. You know what the problem is, know what the solution is, but I think fundamentally it's very easy to fall in a trap. And the trap is that if everything goes through you, you are the bottleneck. And of course, if you're on a longer project and you go on holiday, then it's very easy for the project to start to fall apart, and you come back from your holiday and you ride in on your white horse and you save the day and you feel good about yourself, and it's very easy to become very paternalistic in what you actually do. So we end up, if we're not careful, being the hub, and everything goes through. As I said before, we become the bottleneck. And what happens then, of course, is that the project team do the bare minimum. They do what they're told to do. They might have a work package or a piece of work or a scope or even a little mini project within our big project that they actually go away and deliver. But that's all they'll do, and they won't feel part of the project. It's not a sense of pride or a sense of team. So I think the second point is really about team working. I think as a project leader, we need to be really careful about our leadership behavior, but we need to be really good at setting up project teams, not just one project team, but many different teams within our projects. And so number one is about leadership. Number two is around team working. The third area of our 6 elements really is really about the traditional, what I call traditional project management stuff that you're obviously aware of, are things like the ongoing planning and the coordination of resources, and things like the quality assurance on the project, setting that up for success and making sure that we actually run that, whether we're going for external quality measurement or we're doing it internally, but making sure that we set up a process for that and actually things are actually measured in accordance, not just the actual outputs, if you like, of the project, but also the way that we're actually doing the project. If you might have a centre of excellence, for example, in your organisation, and they're there to help you and make sure that you're using the right methodology and the best approaches to deliver your project outcomes. I think the other aspect, of course, is the ongoing risk. Again, there's a separate module on that we'll look at in terms of how you identify risk and how you kill risk throughout the project life cycle. I think that's a really important thing. There's a whole aspect around the change request and how to manage change effectively and obviously in control. I think that the traditional sort of project management type stuff that we need to get involved in. So that's number 3. So we've got leadership, we've got team working, and we've got the traditional planning, coordinating, risk, quality, change control, all those sort of key things. And of course, obviously, part of that would, of course, be the governance reporting sort of aspect of as well, and making sure that we are keeping our stakeholders and our sponsors in the loop, and we're actually governing and the project is actually in control. I think the fourth area really is a bit that's often missed, I think, in delivering projects, which is, I know we're busy delivering deliverables, but we also need to, what I call, speed up by slowing down. And what I mean by that is, of course, is that, particularly if we're running a project where there's a lot of ambiguity in the project and perhaps using an agile approach, then learning is a key skill that we need to develop. How do you get your project team to stop, reflect on what's happening, look at what's going well and not so well, but also look at things like not just the outputs of the project, but thinking about the methods we're using, the processes, the behaviours, the feeling of the project team, and being able to gather that data, extract that, ask the why questions about why we are successful, why aren't we successful in all these different areas, but then to actually then start to use that continuous improvement process of, okay, so on our next stage of our project, what are we going to start doing, stop doing, and continue doing. So I'll actually pull that out and go into more depth of that on a later module as well. And that's really important. I think module 10 will share with you a process, a tool, if you like, an action learning tool that we can use as project leaders to really effectively keep actually our projects in control by the reviewing process. So often called the drumbeat of the project. When do we get together as a project team, stop and reflect, and then move forward again? So it's a really important element. So we've got leadership, we've got team working, we've got all the quality planning and control sort of governance sort of type stuff, and we're also now at the fourth element, which is the learning element. So there's four key things we need to focus on. So 2 more to go. The fifth thing really, again, I'm going to go into depth of this in a later module, is around stakeholder management. And this is a really important element, if we get caught up in the trap of being the hub, if you like, of leading teams and not actually getting to a point where we're outside that hub and we're supporting and enabling a team, it's very easy to get into a trap where we just don't have the time. I was coaching a project leader a while ago, and great guy, really good at projects, but the only problem here is he was overworked and just so busy. And when we analysed it and went back to did some causal analysis and went down to the root cause, what we found, of course, is that the problem he had is that he was trying to do all the project himself, and he was just too busy, and he didn't know really how to set up his project team for success. So what was happening is that he was getting bad press from his stakeholders because he just didn't have time. He didn't have time to do the stakeholder management piece. So stakeholder management is really important, and fundamentally it's 3 things we want to focus on in stakeholder management. We want to identify who our stakeholders actually are. I remember years ago moving out of the military and working for DuPont, and someone saying to me, he said, look, you're in the commercial world now, Graham, there are going to be people in the business who don't want your project to succeed. And I went, yeah, no way. We're all working for the same strategy. We want to move forward. And it's so true, and I've seen that in many different organisations. The politics and the bureaucracy that gets involved, and the egos that get involved in organisations. They're there. We can't deny that. And you need to identify the stakeholders who are on board, but also the ones that perhaps are resistant and trying to kill your project as well. And you need to then, once you identified who the stakeholders are, you need to then engage them, even the difficult ones, and you need to get them on board. And then finally, of course, throughout the project lifecycle, you need to manage those. So we'll show you on a later module about how to do that. That's on, I think, module 7. I think I'll share those details with you about how to actually identify, engage, and then manage your stakeholders. So that's our 5th area. And the final area, really, which I think, again, is when we get too busy, it tends to get forgotten. I think it's very easy to run projects based on a reactive format rather than proactive. And when you think about the way we report projects, quite often it's the things that go wrong on a project, or the red dots, if you like, on our scorecards or reports, that get talked about. And it's very easy for people to forget all the hard work, the graft that we put in, and the great work that people do. And the only things that people hear about are the couple of mistakes that happen, or the fact that we were running a little bit late, or we've overspent a little bit. And they're the sort of things that get highlighted. And I think that's a shame. So I think the 6th area, which is a really important thing, is you need to be a really good marketeer. I think it's really important to think about not just your comms plan around informing people about what's happening on a project, But I think it's really important to actually market your project. Start to celebrate successes. Get an e-newsletter out there or whatever, talking about some of the successes and the learnings you've had and what's happening in the project team, and celebrating all those great successes, and getting that balance right between the things that are going wrong but also the things that are going right. And I think that's an important bit. So think about your project as almost like a little mini business that you need to market and create a brand. And I always think that's a really good thing to do, because not only is it good from a sort of a team point of view, it builds a sense of purpose and a sense of team identity and a sense of pride as well. So think about how you go out and market your project as well. So there we have it, all 3 videos. So let's just recap and have a look at what we went through in terms of our journey. So video 1, of course, was really about the context we're in and the realization that the world is so fast now that the rules are being rewritten, and we need to look at how we implement strategy and change through projects in a different way. So we took out a lot of different mindsets and a way of operating to achieve that. On video 2, we looked at the end-to-end project lifecycle, and we looked at how Change Pro combines the best of project and change. It gives you a framework and a way of thinking to guide you through the process to make sure that you embed and make change happen in your organization. And finally, we looked at this module, which was really around the skills that we need to be successful, and we looked at 6 key things to be successful in today's world. Now in Change Pro, we go into all those elements in a great more depth, and we share with you more insights and more practical tools about how to do it. So if you found this series really fascinating and you really enjoyed it and you want to learn more, then I suggest you go and visit our website, which is www.changepro.co.uk, and you'll be able to go in there and have a look at the framework in more depth, and really have a little play. Have a look at the features element. Have a look a bit more at some of the programs, and some of the modules are in there as well, and some of the tools you can download as well. And I really hope you found this video series really useful and got some good ideas and thoughts, and really let me know what you took from it, let me know what you've done differently, and really let me know the most important thing about is what impacts it had and what difference it had to you running projects and change in your organization. So I really wish you well, and I really hope we see you inside the Change Pro framework and the Change Pro portal. And reminder that we do have a Facebook community group, which is really like a mastermind group where we've got like-minded people like yourselves, where we're all coming together and we're sharing our ideas and thoughts about how we apply Change Pro in our businesses. And it's a great resource, some really fantastic people on there, really experienced people around the world who can share and help and solve some of the issues we have. And as you know, I'm a big fan of collaboration, and when we get together and we can start to come up with new ideas and thoughts, and what we'll then do is take those ideas and actually put them back into the Change Pro portal. So I see that growing really, and being really the first place that you think of in terms of landing projects and changing the organisation, but also a great resource with some great people and having lots of fun together. So I wish you well, and let's see you on the inside. Bye for now.